Well, he's obviously a material girl, so why would I even talk to him? The thing is, he told me that he had dated a lot of cougars. He was used to dating women that were like 10 years older than him, and they would pay. He was a flower boy. Look, I'm not going to tell you his real name, all right? I'm not going to tell you his real name. He was gorgeous. He was so goddamn beautiful. He was ridiculously beautiful. And I was all, he's obviously out of my league. Why would I even talk to him? He is so out of my league. But the thing is, he's a short king. He was barely taller than me. So goddamn beautiful, but barely taller than me. And he said, I've never met a woman shorter than me. Well, I mean, he had met a women shorter than him before, but they were always older because I don't know. Most of the women he had dated were older, and most of his ex-girlfriends from when he was in high school, they were taller than him because he was really short. He was a short king, but he was gorgeous. He was beautiful. And he said that he had never dated a woman that was the same age as him before. And I was all, wait, how old are you? And he told me how old he was. And I was all, you're only a year older than me. Wait, what high school did you go to? And he told me what high school he went to. We didn't go to the same high school. Um, but let's just say we had a mutual friend and her name was Mario. And we met at her place while we were partying, all right? And one of his ex-girlfriends was trying to get with him, but he was ignoring the hell out of her because I was shorter than him. It's not like I'm gorgeous. I'm obviously not gorgeous. And he was obviously way out of my league. He was a material girl, okay? He was one of those pretty guys that had a lot of sugar mamas, all right? He had a lot of sugar mamas. And I was all, boy, I cannot afford you. Did you mistake me for a rich lady? I cannot afford you. And he was all, but I think you're really cool. And I was all, I'm a nerd. Would you use your eyeballs? I'm freaking Velma. I was in the anime club. Would you use your eyeballs? And the thing is, he was a cholo. And he had an uncle um that was helping people canoe on the river. All right? Um, and that was the family business. And I was like, really? You probably shouldn't tell me that. And he was all, I trust you. And I was all, you shouldn't trust me. Um, I'm obviously a normie. I'm so normal. And I have nothing to do with any of this. And I'm gonna pretend that you did not tell me that. You should not be telling people that. I'm gonna pretend you didn't tell me that. And he was all, what's your name? And then I told him, look, you can add me on Facebook, but I obviously cannot afford you. You're so goddamn gorgeous. He was the most beautiful man I had ever seen. And he was barely taller than me. I loved the fact that we were the same. We're practically the same. The thing is, most of the time, most of the time, the men that would approach me were ridiculously freaking tall. Ridiculously freaking tall. Those were the men that would approach me. And the only reason they were approaching me is because they loved the height difference. But then, when we got to the freaking motel, let's just say we would encounter some logistical difficulties. It was such a freaking headache. Like, God damn it, I guess I have to freaking get a goddamn booster seat. God damn it. But they loved the fact that I was so goddamn short. And then, anyway, that most of the men that would approach me were really freaking tall. And the men that were short, they were usually really freaking rude. And I guess the reason they were rude is because, um, I don't know, man. God damn it. Who am I to judge? But most of the short kings that I have met in my life, you're just like my kid brother. Are you an incel? And they would be really freaking rude to me. They would be goddamn arseholes. So why am I gonna be nice to you? You're not being nice to me. You're just like my goddamn kid brother. Uh-huh, you're 5'3", and therefore anyway, but he was even shorter than my brother. He was barely taller than me. And he was, God, he had like a freaking, he was, when I saw the photos on Facebook, like when I saw the photos of him without his shirt on, I was like, and he had all these tattoos. I didn't have any tattoos yet. And he was so out of my league. He was expensive. And he had a lot of sugar mamas. But he also had an unstable home life because of his family. And that's why he would usually, like run away from home and live with the sugar mamas. And one time he was running away from home and he ran away to my place. But I was like, boy, I can't be one of your sugar mamas. I'm sorry. I would love to be one of your sugar mamas, but I'm broke and I obviously can't afford you. And you can't be my roommate because my dad does wellness checks. And you're gonna freaking what? You're gonna hide in the closet the same way Eric Tarver would hide in my freaking closet, the same way Robin would hide in my freaking closet, the same way. Look, I also have a sugar dad, and he's gonna be sugar mad if he catches you in my apartment. You can't stay here. I would love to, but you can't stay. I'm so sorry, but I'm also a material girl. The both of us, we're the freaking same. We're the same. Except you're gorgeous. I'm obviously not gorgeous. You're out of my league. God damn it. I'm the freaking knockoff Velma. Okay? I'm knockoff Eminem. And I'm knockoff Velma. And I'm freaking Mexican Peter Parker, the goddamn wrestler. And you are really freaking Caucasian. And you're goddamn Snow White. You're as handsome as Tom Hiddleston. God damn it. What are you even doing here? Why are you even giving me the goddamn time of day? I don't have any money. The thing is, he was just like Raul. So I kept waiting for him to be like, I need 200 bucks and I'll totally pay you back. I kept waiting for him to ask me for 200 bucks. The same way Raul did. And the same way Marisa did. I kept waiting for him to ask me for 200 bucks. You know what, Marisa? You're so gorgeous. Here's 200 bucks. Yeah, you'll totally pay me back. I believe you. And yeah, Raul, you know what? You are handsome. Here's 200 bucks. And you'll totally pay me back. I'm going to pretend that I believe you. But the thing is, well, because they were out of my league. They were out of my league. Marisa, she's obviously out of my league. Raul, he's obviously out of my league. Yeah, I will give you 200 bucks. But shit. Eduardo, god damn it. He never asked me for 200 bucks. And I was like, why aren't you? Look, I do have 200 bucks, but I don't have more than 200 bucks. I was so willing to give him, you know, but he didn't ask. And then later, he genuinely wanted to have sex with me. Literally, in person. He wasn't just asking for photos. He actually came in person to my actual apartment. And he actually wanted to. And I was all, um, are you sure? And he said, yes, yes, I am sure. And I didn't believe him because he's gorgeous. He's the most handsome man I've ever met in my life. I didn't believe that he actually wanted to go all the way with me. But he said, yeah, I do. And I was all, You know what? You are obviously Snow freaking White. And you know what? Let's make it special. Let's go slow. And you know what? Let's start with first base. And then let's start with second base. And then let's start with third base. Let's, you know what? Because you're special. And so then, I got kinky with it. And oh my God, he was pleasantly surprised by my talent, all right? He was pleasantly surprised by how talented I was with my hands, all right? He was really freaking, and look, I don't want to get flagged by the algorithm, but let's just say, his grapes came off, and he was as short as Minetta. Yeah, he was such a Minetta, except he was gorgeous, but he was such a Minetta, and he had grapes. And then his grapes stuck to the walls. They and they landed on his chest and they stuck to his chest. And I was like, whoa. And he was like, that's the best I've ever experienced. And I was all, you don't have to lie to me. And he said, no, that was the best freaking I've ever freaking. And we hadn't even gone all the way yet. I was working up to it because he's so goddamn gorgeous. I wanted to give him a good time. And he said, and I was all, how many times do you want to come tonight? Do you only want to come over once? Or, like, do you have the stamina? Because the thing is, Alejandro, he does not have the stamina and he cannot keep it up. Okay. Were you drinking? Is that why? Were you drinking? He told me that he'd been having trouble for a while. And I was all, are you lying or you actually have been having trouble? Or am I just freaking flaca fea, wormtail Peter Pettigrew? Listen, you don't have to give me a pity date. But apparently Alejandro was having erectile dysfunction. And I did not believe him. But he was all, no, literally. And then after that, he decided that he didn't want to see me in person, but he was paying me. So of course I was giving him photos. I'll give you all the photos all day, every day, because he was paying me. He was the best customer I've ever had. As for Luis did not pay me a freaking dime. He was the worst customer I've ever had. Luis Diaz, did you think I was free? You're married. Since you're married, no, I'm not free. If you're single, I am free. If you're married, I'm not free. Are you dumb? Just because you're a fireman, you thought I was free? If you're married, I'm not free. If you're single, I am free. God damn it, use your goddamn brain. Anyway, Edward Cullen, he said it was the best he ever experienced. And I thought, he's obviously exaggerating. He's obviously lying. But whatever, I believe ya. And then he asked me if we could go all the way. But the thing is, I was uh I was also hanging out with Bryan. Bryan. Yeah, he's totally as evil as Brian Thompson. You know which Bryan I'm talking about. And if you don't know which Bryan I'm talking about, you've obviously never spent time with Delgado. Anyway, he wanted to go all the way. But I was waiting, okay? I had been tested. I had just been tested because Bryan, goddamn, Arlene can sure tell ya that Bryan got around, all right? Bryan, he got around. And then he gave me freaking chlamydia. God damn it, Bryan. You're supposed to get tested on a regular basis. God damn it. Bryan was not being responsible, all right? And he gave me freaking chlamydia. And, the symptoms were obviously gone and not bothering me. But sometimes, you have to be careful and you have to make sure to properly wait and properly take the medication. And I didn't want to give it to him. He's Edward freaking Cullen. Let's just say I regretted the day I ever met Bryan Thompson because he gave me freaking chlamydia and, the symptoms are gone, but I didn't want to risk. He's Edward freaking Cullen. And I'm obviously goddamn Alice. Why is he even giving me the time of day? I'm not Bella Swan. I'm Alice. I'm obviously Alice. Did you mistake me for Bella Swan? I'm Alice. And he said, you don't have to lie. And I said, look, I got tested and I don't want to give it to you. Bryan, the freaking truck driver, gave me chlamydia. And I do not want you catching it, bro. I want you catching it. And obviously, chlamydia is the easiest STD to get rid of. It's the most common one, all right? It's the most common one. And it's the easiest. You just gotta be a good boy. You take your medicine, yada yada. Um, let's just say I broke up with Bryan. God damn it. Bryan, the goddamn truck driver. He gets around, huh? God damn it, Bryan. You need to get tested on a regular goddamn basis. He was not being responsible. And I was regretting the day I ever met Bryan. God damn it. If it weren't for Bryan, I would have gone all the way with Edward freaking Cullen. So then I told Edward, God damn it, look, maybe next time, all right? I really don't want to risk it. I don't want you to catch it. You're too goddamn gorgeous. And honestly, you deserve better than me. You're way out of my goddamn league. What are you even doing here, God damn it? At the time, I was wearing one of those freaking emo freaking. It had the freaking hoodie, the skull, the black, and I was the skeleton because I'm Jack freaking Skeleton. So I had the black with the skeleton and the hoodie because I was being emo. God damn it! Just like high school when I had the Jack freaking Skeleton beanie and Inside Out. So sometimes it was a black Jack Skellington beanie, and sometimes it was the white Jack Skellington beanie. I was still in my Jack Skellington phase. It was a long time ago, all right? It was when I was being emo. God damn it. It was a long time ago. And I bet he doesn't even remember me anymore. And I never saw him again, obviously. That was the last time I ever saw him in person. We talked a few more times over Facebook, but I mean, come on, I couldn't afford him, and he couldn't afford me. The both of us, we were flower boys, and I couldn't afford him. He couldn't afford me. Neither of us could afford a goddamn apartment. It was not meant to be, all right? But I'm never gonna forgive Bryan goddamn Thompson. Yeah, R.I.P. He had it coming. He obviously had it coming. And he only had himself to blame. I was all, V is for vendetta. I'm a social justice warrior. Therefore, you know who you are, Bryan. The real Bryan Thompson is already dead. And he had it coming. But I bet every single Bryan on the planet regrets the fact that their parents named them Bryan.